Thanks, guys. On this week's ATV Behind the Scenes, I'm sitting down with designer Randy Vasquez, and he's going to take us on an in-depth look through the... What do we call it?
Well, we'll call it the Caterpillar for right now.
What are we looking at? What's this? We're taking a look at the initial design and layout of the Drake Caterpillar. Randy, how you doing?
Doing good, self?
Good. You ready to show us?
Oh yeah, let's do this.
All right.
We're looking at the initial layouts and design of the Caterpillar. The Caterpillar is an interesting ship just because it's asymmetrical, it has multiple purposes, multiple uses, and just the modularity alone has been kind of crazy. So
it's one of the few asymmetrical ships we have.
Yeah, we don't have many just because they're kind of difficult to actually build and create and make sure that they run and look good. So I don't know, I kind of like it. It has its own charm, you know? Mm-hmm. Roguish charm, I might add. So first thing we kind of started doing was we looked at the overall ship, and then we started looking at, okay, what is the scaling? What are the purpose of everything? We've kind of made the ship a little bit bigger than what it was initially said, not too much bigger. And then you guys, once we finish everything, then we'll give all of the new updated stats and everything like that. We've added to the ship. We have not taken anything away, really.
Okay.
So what we're looking at right now is kind of variant. So like at first we were like, all right, well, so this is kind of the smaller one. We're like, all right, this is way too small. We're not gonna fit enough cargo in there. We told the community that the cargo was gonna be over 500. So we're trying to make sure this right here initially would not work. And then also balance-wise and ballast and everything that we're gonna start putting into every single ship, kind of this one wouldn't work being over the side. So then we kind of switched over to a more central, and this central kind of opened up some space so that way the center people can always walk through. Now, granted, people can always fill up a cargo unit. So like this is kind of the new improved one. It's a little bit wider, a little bit taller, has space for the components, it has space for the hard points that's gonna be on it.
You have many modules, sir.
Yeah, we've done a lot of playing around, kind of like where we did with the Starliner, right? Where we had tons of variations. We're like, all right, how's this look? How's this feel? And kind of just us running around inside of it. Yeah. We did a lot of the same things. So basically right here, you're seeing if a person was to fill up the cargo bay completely, you know, we're looking at 90 SCU right here, 20 SCU right here, and 20 SCU right here. So people can do the math. Every single module, cargo module, will be able to hold that much cargo. So it's been on the forefront of what we wanted to do. So I'm actually going to take you guys on a journey through the different pieces of this ship. So right here, we actually have kind of the foyer area where people are going to be going to the airlocks, and this is kind of the middle to the back of the ship. We wanted to make sure that the command module that does detach actually kind of interfaces and links up with it. So as you can see right here, I have everything kind of just in blocked out form just to check before artists actually start going in and building up this ship all the way. We wanted to make sure we had design set and kind of more solid.
Gotcha, so that's the rear of the main hull before you start attaching modules.
Yes.
So every Caterpillar will have this.
Every Caterpillar will have this part, and then they'll have engineering, and then they'll have space for the rear turret. We've kind of moved the rear turret back a little bit as well, so that way it wasn't like in the center, it was more to the rear, so it had kind of a more view of, you know, everybody to shoot behind them. Just because this being a cargo hauler, or intended as a cargo hauler and a search and rescue, it's not gonna be that fast. So let's start looking at some of the modules. We showed you the cargo module. Kind of made like a personnel module where the crew is going to be living inside this thing. Now, if you want more crew, you can add more modules. But again, if you add more personnel modules, then you're sacrificing cargo modules or any other modules you want. So it's kind of a give or take. What functionality you want? What are you going to sacrifice for that?
How many total modules can you connect?
So the front module is going to be its own thing. And then you can swap those out. And then you're gonna have a few modules behind that. So actually, let me show you real quick. If we look here, each one of these is a module. So I'm seeing one, which is the front module right here.
Okay.
Then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Wow.
So we're looking at 5 modules the player can swap in and out.
So 5 body modules and then 1 front module? So for a total of 6 modules?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
So, start going through like some of the concepts that we've been working with was kind of an armory. So if you were going to be setting up for troops, then you want to have like, you know, a barracks personnel thing so you can fit more people in. It's not as comfortable, but you have more people, and basically the armory will host all the weapons. It'll have like a workbench. You'll have like a holo table so you can kind of preview all of your changes for your loadouts. Then we have a workshop that's basically a shop. So you can have a store on this. So think about like, I guess if you want to think about like illegal activities, you can have a kind of a mobile shop where you're selling contraband or buying stuff, making business meetings on the run.
Yeah, we don't have any citizens that are interested in illicit activities.
No, not.
So strictly above the board operations.
Okay,
here.
so I'll stop talking about illicit activities because they're just not interested in that anyways. So let's go to one of the more nicer ones, medical bay. You know, so don't mind these red dots. They're kind of assets that there's going to be screens on the walls, kind of like diagnostics and everything. So then up top we have where the doctors would be, kind of making sure, checking up on everybody, and then they have like a little elevator here, so that way they can kind of go in and out from up top. So all of the modules are going to be multi-level, right? And we won't talk about this one for right now. So this module right here is going to be the chop shop. Well, sorry, mobile salvage.
Mobile salvage, all right. Completely above board legal activities only, please.
Yes, none of that. We don't want riffraffs here. So we have like, you know, claws kind of to hold things and stuff. We have tools and equipment all around the bay. These bays will kind of open up into space so that way stuff can come from outside.
Oh,
now,
cool.
all of the modules right here also will have things that slide open, so all the doors can be actually widened out.
Okay.
So that way, basically, you can put stuff from module to module. So we want to make sure that this ship is kind of a playground, so that way you can move cargo, you can move salvage from one to another, and you can stay all within the ship and move things around, as well as if you wanted to, you can kind of open the ship up and then move things around in space.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the sides opened up.
Yep. I'll show you something on the sides a little bit.
All right.
Right here we have actually one of the barracks module, so that way it has just rows of bunks and then some personal storage up top with a little lounge and stuff for eating. So this one's pretty basic. We have everything set up so people can, you know, take care of their needs. And this one is a docking bay, or a docking collar, sorry. And this is kind of if the Caterpillar becomes like a meeting point. So,
Go ahead.
I was saying, an example of it is if you look up, I have a few ships up here kind of using the docking collar just to make sure it works. So ideally, what would happen is these docking things kind of just come out, and they're going to be on cords and stuff like that, and then people can just dock with other ships, and then everything kind of just goes from there.
People had been wondering, we'd seen a little bit of this ship mass in a video before, and ShipShape did a segment on the Caterpillar a couple weeks ago, and I refrained from telling folks what the constellation mass was, but now they know.
Yeah. So as you see here, the doors will be opening up into a ramp. So when this lands, when the Caterpillar lands, actually this door will be like, okay, it's gonna be like a clamshell. So the top part opens up, and then the bottom part kind of goes down, and then that is the ramp that people will be using to get in and out if they're actually parked.
This is obviously a front module.
No, this is not the front module. This is still one of the side modules.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, this is something that I'm just playing with right now, just some other variations. And you see here I have a couple of the ones that I can mess with, and based on feedback that I'm getting, kind of just go from there. So, let's see.
It's important to remember, for everyone to remember, that none of this is final. This is all exploration of ideas and such.
We're trying to basically figure out how everything fits together, what works. All this is done with metrics, so that way light, medium, and heavy armored people can actually move around within the ship and not have an issue. So we have the command module right here. We're still playing around with the command module. So right now this is what the command module looks like when it's detached by itself. As you can see, this is kind of asymmetrical again, along with the other ship, so it's kind of hard to balance, just weight, mass, size, and everything like that. So we're messing around with the command module to make sure that it fits the rest of the ship, right? And as I said, people will be living inside the ship, so one of the things that we're playing with right now is just the thought of removing the living space from the command module and giving it more purpose and functionality. Because right now, a lot of space is just lost due to living, but we already have the living space within the modules.
Exactly.
So we don't really need to duplicate that. Now, the one thing we do need to have is we need to make sure that the pilot, the co-pilot, and any other operator within the command module has space that they can do their job. So we've been playing around with some things, keeping it asymmetrical, but making it only one layer. Now, the reason why the one layer works out really well is when it's connected to the ship, if it's double layers, then all the modules on the sides, they can't open up.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of interfering and getting in the way. So if we make it a single row, then basically the the modules themselves can still open up. People can operate and walk underneath the command modules no problem.
Gotcha. So the change gives us additional functionality to the rest of the ship.
Yep, makes it way more accessible. So as you see here, this is kind of one thing we've been playing with. So that way we have sensors, we have remote turrets. So we're adding actually some guns to the new design. We have guns on. We have 2 hard points on front, and we have 1 hard point in the back. And as you see, engineering here, we've also added a little bit more safety features. So when the crew is escaping, they can actually, you know, those fold-down seats you see, like the jump seats, right? In the ships. So as you see here, I'm like, all right, I went more like a Tomcat a little bit more, make it a little more sleek, make it a little more pretty, you know, and then attached. And I was like, you know, that's cool. But then talking with the artists and everything, they actually liked the 2 rows, so that way the people will have space to just walk right in the center and then go with this seat, go to this seat, or any of these seats behind them. Now as you see, you still have a lot of space, all the engineering components, engineer will be here hanging out, and then you still have the turrets, you still have everything. So actually by doing this, we've added more functionality to the ship. So it's all about adding functionality, making sure that this ship can get away.
Okay.
When it needs to. And it can also defend itself where we're like, oh, get away, get away, get away. It can just go. So let's talk about the front module. The front module is unique, and the front module only fits on the front. So this one is my jack of all trades. It's basically going to have all the tools of every single of the front modules. We have some cargo equipment, so that way people have dollies and pallets, like grab pallets, so they can actually load things in if they need to. They have the launch bays. So launch bays we haven't talked about much at all.
Okay.
Now launch bay is it's just a thought. It's a theory right now. But imagine a catapult in space, and it's going to be catapulting people for when you're rescuing a ship and you need to get over there really quickly.
Obviously, and
Just
only
rescue.
when you're rescuing.
Just
a
rescue
ship.
only. Yes. So this can catapult 2 people out, and they're going to need to use their jump jets and everything and their EVA equipment to basically slow down the ascent, because you don't want to go splat on the thing you're trying to rescue. That's just bad form, right?
It would be some interesting gameplay.
Interesting to say the least. So we also have a hard point for a tractor beam, so that way it could hold on to anything and bring anything closer to the ship that you're trying to rescue and help. This is an EVA EXO, and basically what it is if you ever seen like subs, how they have the small little submersibles and they're unmanned and they kind of detach from the ship and then they help do field repairs. So this is going to be something like that, where they can use it for salvaging, they can use it to kind of do field repairs on their own ship. A person can jump inside of this, and it'll be like a 1-man seater, and then people can just grab onto it and it'll go. So it's basically going to be a little like a seat with an engine. And then, so we have a lot of ideas for it, and we're still exploring. So this one is all launch bays, so you can launch 4 people at once towards your intended target.
So you can rescue 4 people.
Yes, it's like rescue divers. This one's gonna be more cargo. So this one has all the cargo equipment where, of course, the mags and everything like that. It has 1 EVA to help out with cargo and grabbing things in space. And then this one is gonna be mostly just EVA, where you have 2 of the EVA EXOs to get things, and you have tools. So usually this would be ideal for when you're using the mobile salvage. Sorry, keep slipping. So we have here just a base front module that is going to be empty, and this base module is basically going to be just whatever you want to put in it. So if you want to put any equipment in there, you're good to go.
Okay.
So those are the modules as of right now. Let's go ahead and see them together.
Okay.
So, we talked about the different modules before and kind of functionality-wise. This is going to be the cargo variant. So, the cargo variant is going to have mostly cargo, crew, and that's about it. It's meant to have as much cargo as possible, right? And then this is going to be used for either merchant marine, it's going to be used just for cargo hauling, and whatever else the player wants. And then, again, the player, no matter what variant they get, they can swap out modules and everything and go from there. So as you see, I'm going to go through everything right here. The ship is actually a decent size. So I'm just scrolling through right now. Here's the module right here for people. Here's the foyer. And then engineering. And then here's the bottom turret. So the engineering bay is actually 2 stories. It has space for large fuel tanks, and it also has space for 2 more large fuel tanks. Some of the alternative uses for the ship we were talking about was like a colony ship. So basically, people will load as much stuff on here and have a fleet of caterpillars and then be shot out into space. And with these large fuel tanks, they're able to make it even further. And then we haven't even talked about attachments that we want to have for outside the ship, which will probably be discussed at a later time.
All right.
I won't give too much away. So yeah, there's a lot of work. This is the airlock from underneath. If we go up top, I'm just gonna run through the ship real quick. These are where the controls for opening the side bays are for everything, so cargo can actually come in on either side. And that's all the way down. So
Very
going up
cool.
here, we have this is the seat that's going to be on top of the wing. And basically this is going to be kind of like a crane operator. So if anybody's seen like the crane operators on the ships, on the docks and everything. So every time cargo or salvage or anything like that, this guy's going to be controlling the tractor beam on the wing to grab the stuff and then bring it closer to the ship. So that way the workers on the ship can get everything and kind of stow everything quickly.
Very
It's all about
cool.
trying to be as efficient as possible when you're not pirating.
No, of course not. Not when you're pirating.
Salvaging.
Who would use this ship for pirating?
I don't know. And then this is just a way into the command module. So that's the cargo variant. Let's check out some other stuff. This is going to be the search and rescue. So the search and rescue, which not boarding, is going to be able to catapult people out really quickly to the intended target. And the ship will have to be facing it, of course. And then the sides would ideally be open. So we have a couple of cargoes. We have a medical bay, just in case if anybody's hurt or injured and stuff, you can put them in the medical bay and go from there. We have a barracks, and then we also have a personnel. This is the personnel for the ship, and then this is barracks for having extra workers or extra troopers or crew on board.
Pirates.
You said it, not me. So this one, because of the multi-thing, will actually have 2 airlocks. Now each module is self-sustained, so each module will have its own components, its own power supply, its own life support, everything, so that way if you want to open one module and have all the other ones closed, all the other ones will be sealed off.
Gotcha.
And you can open all the modules if you want, or you can have all of them closed. It's really up to you what you want to do with it. We're trying to leave as much flexibility as possible. So, last but not least, this is the mobile salvage. Don't mind that. That's not a chop shop. So, we have tools here. We already talked about this front module. Kind of came in. Okay, we have 2 mobile salvages right next to each other. And then as you see right here, we have a causeway so people can actually walk through and store stuff. Now this one has the least amount of cargo right now. Just because it's supposed to be going there, getting the stuff, salvaging, and then kind of bringing back what they salvage after they break down all the salvage into smaller pieces. And then this one also has a shop, so in case you're selling things, then you can also sell things also while you're salvaging.
Okay.
And you can also add more of the shops. If you wanted to, you can make a food truck.
Caterpillar food truck.
Caterpillar food truck, space food truck, or space roach coach, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, like it really has a lot of possibilities just to kind of play around with, and I really hope the community likes it.
I'm blown away. This is so much more functionality than I was expecting.
So this is some of us stuff that we were playing around with the thruster placement. So as you see, we have thrusters up front, kind of pushing in the different areas. That's what each area or each arrow means. And then because the ship is asymmetrical and it will be also dealing with cargo, if we look at it right here, we need all the thrusters up front, kind of just for torque, so that way it kind of turns like it's supposed to. But the center of gravity is actually, when it's empty, center of gravity is going to be right here. But when the ship is full, like full cargo, center of gravity actually changes to about right here. So that's kind of a very large, large range. Yeah, disparity is a good word. So we had to figure out kind of how it will go, how it will go through, and how it will move, especially with these big thrusters here, and then this one will be actually pivoting. So that way it's going to be kind of like how the Cutlass is, and we're going to be using a lot of the mechanics, a lot of the looks and features of a lot of the Drake ships. So it's been a lot of fun though so far. We're still messing with the command module, so these thruster placements are not final. And once we actually put this into the system, which we do have a working version of it, but it kind of wigs out a little bit, so I can't really show it right now. But hopefully soon. Right now, it kind of drives like a freight train. Like, it's so bad.
I think we probably need to wrap up. This is an especially long segment.
Yes, sorry.
So, it's all right. Randy, thanks so much for taking the time to take us through the Caterpillar. I know this is just design and early, I mean, it's pre-white box, but this is a lot of exciting stuff. Can we check in with you later?
Definitely.
In a couple weeks, maybe a couple months when this is...
Yeah,
you know,
once I get an artist and once we get everything situated and get approved, then we're going to start hitting these hard. And with all the modules, we can basically just make modules and then have it kind of just mix and match and go from there.
Very cool. Randy, thanks so much, man.
No worries. Thank you.
All right. Back to you guys.